Hey guys, so I got a lot of requests to do a bag check video, and here it is. I'm going to reveal what's in my bag, and not only what I bring in my bag when I'm teaching, but also what I would bring in my bag if I were playing a match. So let's get started with the rackets. So I play with the Babolat Pure Drive Plus, the 2017 version. I made a video discussing my racket history in great detail. Check it out if you want to know what rackets I used to play with. But one little thing about rackets is that it is useful to have the racket in a plastic bag if you want to protect your strings. I do recommend that you put your rackets in a plastic bag, especially if you're playing with natural gut. And you can see they do this on tour quite frequently, and this is something that I do as well. I keep a couple of my rackets in a bag to make sure the strings don't get damaged. For example, if you're flying on an airplane, sometimes this can affect the strings in a negative way, and a plastic bag can help you keeps the strings safe. All right, on to the next item in my bag, which is my strings. And if you guys are interested in finding out what strings I used to play with, I have a separate video on that, and check it out if you like. But generally, I see a lot of players forget to bring strings when they're playing tournaments, and now you're relying on the pro shop having your specific string. And overall, it's going to be a lot cheaper if you bring your string with you. So don't forget to pack strings in your bag. And now on to the next item, which is going to be a couple of obvious items, but a towel, super important, and not only to dry off your sweat, but you can put the towel when you're playing close to the back fence, and you can kind of collect your thoughts between points, and it can be a great way to concentrate during a match. So don't forget to bring a towel. On to the next item, which is also super important. These are wristbands, especially here in Florida where it's super hot. I cannot play without wristbands because the sweat will roll down onto my hand, and now my racket can slip out of my hand. So guys, do not forget wristbands. Now also, don't forget to bring a separate pair of shoes just in case something happens with your shoes, because you'll never know, the shoe might break or your shoelaces might break. Another thing that I always bring along with me is a pair of socks, because here's a little trick that you can do. Let's say that you're playing a match and it's very hot and you're sweating like crazy, and after the second set, maybe if you're going into the third set, you can change your socks and you're gonna feel so refreshed when it comes to your feet. All right, let's see what else we got in here. Okay, sunglasses. So I never used to wear sunglasses when I played back in the day, but then when I moved to Hawaii, I kind of started getting used to wearing sunglasses on the court, and then I continued to play tournaments, and my eyes were so used to sunglasses, I started playing matches with sunglasses, and I used different brands. I used Oakley for a while, and I found these Ray-Bans that are really good. And make sure that when you're playing with sunglasses that they're really solid in the back so that they don't fall off your face when you're serving. So sunglasses is a tricky thing because a lot of players are not comfortable playing with them, but if you have sensitive eyes, this is something that you do want to pack in your bag and bring along with you. All right, let's go on to the next thing. And this is what you're going to bring as far as hydration. You got to make sure that you bring in something with electrolytes. I like water to have electrolytes in it, or I mix my own drink before the match. It's something that's super important if you're playing matches in the heat. That way you're not going to dehydrate. What about food? These is the best thing that you can bring along in a match, and these are dates, because these are not going to burn off so fast. So when you eat a date, maybe in the beginning of a set, it's probably going to last you a good while, maybe the whole set, as opposed to maybe eating a candy bar that you're going to burn off super fast, and then you might feel that crash in the middle of the set. So you got to be very careful when you're eating sweets like chocolate, that you time them well. It's not necessarily bad to eat like a Snickers bar or something, but you got to time it really well so you don't burn it off and then have a loss of energy. On the other hand, dates are fantastic because the energy does last longer than anything else. All right guys, and this is something that's really useful if you want to have a super quick burst of energy. Let's say it's 5-4 in the third or 6-5 in the third. You know the match is close to being over and you want to have that burst of energy. You're already feeling tired. Have a sip of Coke or any other soda with a lot of sugar, because this will give you an immediate boost. But very similar to eating a chocolate bar, you got to time this well. So you don't want to have a sip of Coke in the beginning of a third set, because you're going to burn it off and then you're going to feel dead at very important stages of the set. So you got to time the sip of the Coke really well if you want it to be effective. All right, what else we got in here? This is a massaging stick. This comes in very handy if you're feeling sore, maybe before the match or even during the match. something that I do recommend that you bring along with you. Let's see what else. Okay, now some of these items are going to be for coaching, so I do bring a whistle with me. Okay, this is something that's super useful if you have some students who are on the lazy side. You can get them going with a whistle really quickly. Let's see what else. Now this is something that you do before a match, and these are bands. Okay, this is something you see the professional players do all the time, and I'm a big supporter of this because I have a really bad knee and also have a really bad shoulder. So these things are good to tie between your legs and do certain exercises. And of course, a band is going to be great to warm up your arms and especially the shoulders. All right, let's go on to the next thing. Okay, tennis balls is kind of obvious. You want to bring balls with you. And sunscreen. Okay, so I use a sunscreen that's a zinc sunscreen. It doesn't really absorb into your skin. You stay kind of white, and this is my preference. I like this kind of, it seems to be protecting the skin really well. So don't forget your sunscreen. And of course, grips. Guys, don't forget to have grips. There are some players on tour that change the grips after every game. Richard Gasquet changes his grip after every single changeover, and most of the players will change the grip after each set, and I do it as well. Kind of similar to changing your socks. When you put on a new grip, the racket's going to feel better in your hand, and you're going to play better as a result of that. If you guys are wondering what grips I'm using, I use the Wilson Pro Overgrip. I'm not sponsored by Wilson, and I prefer actually the white kind. This is for me the best grip. I've tried them all. In my opinion, this is the absolute best overgrip. Also, I do like tape when it comes to blisters, and you got to have athletic tape in your bag. If you happen to get a blister on your hands or even on your feet, you want to be able to tape yourself up. And of course, if you get some kind of cut, bring band-aids with you. When it comes to warming up, my personal preference is a jump rope. This is possibly the best way to warm up for a tennis match. It works the whole body. It warms up your hands, it warms up your arms, it gets the feet going. You get a sweat going after maybe 5 minutes of jump rope. So I highly recommend that you jump rope before a match. And for all you tennis coaches out there, I'm going to give you a really valuable tip how I protect myself from the sun. So I can tell you a little story. I used to work indoors a lot. I grew up in Germany. I was teaching there. It's very comfortable to teach indoors. Even when you taught outside, it wasn't too hot. I then lived in Kentucky for 5 years. It was very similar. Yes, the weather could get a little bit hot, but overall it was a cooler climate. And then from there on I moved to Chicago. Obviously it was not very warm there, but then I started living in warm climates. I lived in Hawaii, and then I moved to Florida. So for the past 17 years I've been in hot climates, and I can share some of my experiences teaching all day under the hot sun. So first I would dress normal like this, in shorts, t-shirts, maybe a cap, and I would put tons of lotion on. And I would notice that after every day of teaching, I would get these headaches, these little heat strokes. I would get this constant headache even though I was applying sunscreen. But then I saw from some other pros that they wore long pants, long sleeves, and these huge hats. And I tried it out, and guess what? Once I started wearing more clothing, my skin was better protected from the sun, and the headaches went away, and I've been doing it ever since. I'm going to show you my method. So first of all, we need what's called a neck shade hat. And let me put this on. A lot of my students make fun of me for this, and this is a neck shade hat. You can get this anywhere. Just type in neck shade hat into the internet, and I prefer one that you can tie on the bottom, and now only a little bit of your face is exposed. And of course we can also put sunglasses on, protect the eyes, and now if you wanted to, you could put a little bit of sunscreen on your nose and here on your cheeks, and you're fully protected. Your neck is protected, the back of your neck is protected. And now what about the arms? Well, there's no problem because we're going to use these arm sleeves. Okay, we're going to put these on real quick. How about the calves? They're exposed. We got to cover them as well, and we're going to use calf sleeves for this. And here it is, guys. I'm fully protected. I also like to wear shorts that are a little bit longer. As you can see, none of my skin is exposed. My hands are exposed, but I do put lotion on the back of my hands. I can tell you that even though this might look a little bit extreme, this helps me tremendously. I can teach all day without getting a headache and without my skin burning. And guys, while I'm putting my stuff back in the bag, let me tell you one little pet peeve of mine, and that's when I see someone walk onto the tennis court with a backpack. Have you guys seen players walk on the court with a backpack? It's not a good look. It's not very intimidating. In fact, I don't think I've ever lost to someone who showed up on the court with a backpack. If you personally are using a backpack, please don't take any offense and get yourself one of these bags. This is what the pros are using. This is the biggest bag Babolat has, but every company has these bags. And get yourself one of these. And not only will you look a lot cooler when you show up at a match, but also you can put all this stuff into your bag that's going to be super valuable when it comes to playing matches. Because let's face it, if you read Brad Gilbert's book, Winning Ugly, there was a whole chapter dedicated to what you should bring along with you to the tennis matches. This can help you tremendously when it comes to being prepared and therefore having better chances to win. So guys, no offense, but ditch the backpack and get yourself one of these.